It doesn't feel like exhaustion, exactly. Exhaustion wants rest. This wants something different, something harder to name, a pull toward quiet that isn't really about noise, a preference for your own company that has less to do with other people being too much and more to do with something that feels almost like necessity. You still like people, you still show up, but somewhere recently, aloneness stopped feeling like a gap between social events and started feeling like somewhere you actually need to be, not to recover, for something else entirely. The question is what? The standard explanation for wanting more solitude is depletion. You've been giving too much to work, to people, to the constant low-grade demands of being present and available. You need to recover. The alone time is the correction. That explanation is real. It describes something genuine, but it doesn't describe this. Depletion wants to stop. What's being described here wants to start something. There's a directionality to it, a pull toward rather than away from. And those are not the same psychological experience, even if they produce the same behavior on the outside. Researchers who study solitude make this distinction carefully. The motivation behind wanting to be alone matters as much as the wanting itself. Escaping social demand is one thing. Seeking the specific conditions only aloneness provides is something else entirely. Something that can only happen in quiet. Something that apparently can't wait much longer. Here's where it gets precise. The psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott made an observation that sounds simple until you sit with it. The capacity to be alone, he argued, is not a personality trait. It isn't something you're born with or without. It's a developmental achievement, something that has to be built over time through experience.
And it's built in a specific way, not through practicing solitude, not through choosing it deliberately, but through accumulating enough internal resource that being alone stops feeling like exposure and starts feeling like ground, like somewhere you can actually stand. Most people spend years without this fully in place, not because anything is wrong with them, but because the conditions that build it are slow, and the world doesn't particularly encourage the waiting. So silence gets filled. Aloneness gets managed rather than inhabited. The capacity develops in the background, quietly, without announcement, until something shifts. The pull you're noticing may not be exhaustion signaling a need to stop. It may be the psyche registering that something has developed enough to finally be used, that the internal ground is there now in a way it wasn't before, that aloneness has become available as a genuine space rather than just an absence of other people, not a retreat from something, a readiness for something. The desire didn't arrive because you're depleted. It arrived because somewhere in the process of living, you became capable of it. Here's what that readiness is pointing toward. Solitude isn't rest. Rest is what happens when the body or mind stops working. Solitude, genuine solitude, the kind the psyche is apparently now equipped for, is where a different kind of work begins. The kind that can't happen in company, can't happen in noise, can't happen in the continuous low-level presence of other people and their demands and their energy. It's the condition under which experience gets integrated, where things that happened, accumulated, half-processed, set aside because there was never adequate space, finally get located in relation to everything else, where the self catches up to the life it's been living.
Most people are carrying a significant amount of unprocessed experience, not because they're avoidant or damaged, but because the pace of modern life structurally outstrips the time required to absorb it. Things happen faster than meaning can be made from them, and meaning-making, it turns out, is not something that happens automatically. It requires a specific condition, quiet, uninterrupted, without an audience. Which means the pull towards solitude may be less about preference and more about necessity, the self-registering below the level of conscious awareness that something has been waiting, that the capacity is finally there, and that the work, whatever it is, has been wanting to begin for a while. So the desire isn't the problem. The capacity arrived, genuinely, meaningfully, and the pull is real. That's worth something. Most people spend significant portions of their lives unable to be alone in any productive sense, filling every available silence before it has the chance to become anything. You're past that. Something developed. The ground is there. But capacity and use are not the same thing.
Because what actually happens when people get the solitude they've been craving, when the quiet finally arrives, when the space opens up, is that they fill it. Not with the same things as before necessarily, but with something. A podcast, a scroll, a low stimulation alternative to the high stimulation they were escaping. Something that occupies the silence without asking anything of them. And the work that was waiting, the integration, the meaning making, the self catching up to the life it's been living, stays waiting. The capacity to be alone is not the same as being willing to be alone with what's actually there. Those are different things. And the second one is harder, significantly harder.
You know, you should watch this video next. I think you will like it.